I think I must start by introducing myself to the Minister. Minister, my name is Sihle Lonzi, Member of Parliament, deployed by the Economic Freedom Fighters. And I'm introducing myself, Chair, because I don't know this minister. I'm seeing this minister for the first time. When a 13-year-old girl gave birth in Seshego Hospital in Limpopo, teenage pregnancy, I never saw the face of this minister. When cases of Cwecwe came, Boy in Matatiela, Alu, I never saw the face of this minister. When last year, between I think October, December or so, there were more than 120,000 reported cases of teenage pregnancy in KZN, in Gauteng, Limpopo number 3, and I think Eastern Cape number 4. I never saw the face of this minister. When the rape victims of Omotoso didn't receive justice, and the judge literally said it was as a result of the incompetence of the NPA in her judgment, effectively saying these people were supposed to receive justice, but because of the inefficiencies of the prosecutors, the NPA, a rapist is now free to roam the streets of South Africa. I never saw the face of this minister. So I don't know them. And I think really that then calls to question what makes this, if it is not grandstanding, if it is not populism, if it is not selective activism, why must Parliament be dragged to this particular case, which members have correctly said that perhaps if you are looking at cyberbullying, it can form within the ambits of the Portfolio Committee on Communications, Digital Communications, and the likes. When about half of the young people in South Africa are unemployed, remember this is a portfolio committee of women, youth, and persons with disabilities, was sitting with almost half of the population of young people are unemployed. We don't know these people. So that's why we get to be surprised when all of a sudden they emerge out of the woods and then they want to push particular agendas in Parliament, even when the agendas are genuine, because I must concur with the members. Really, the footage is distasteful. So the agenda is genuine, but because the delivery of the message is of questionable character and ethics, now we're made to ask questions to say, why is this being brought to this Parliament? And perhaps, Chair, we must just give a very quick education, because I heard some members of Parliament saying this committee has a responsibility to implement laws. Chair, I think both you and I and other members would have at least have a basic understanding of how government works in South Africa. We'll appreciate that the three arms of state and government have three very different mandates. You've got the legislature, which is us, who writes the laws. You've got the judiciary, which interprets the laws. And then you've got the executive branch, which must then go and execute and implement the laws. So when the member says this Parliament is not implementing laws, I get to be very confused whether members of Parliament and even the minister themselves understand really the real mandate of portfolio committees and Parliament, which is to oversee and act as a check and balance to the executive branch. Now, Chair, we've got the Commission of Gender Equality. We've got the National Strategic Plan on GBVF that Cyril Ramaphosa likes to talk about in his very unpassionate sonas. Now, the question we must then be able to ask the minister and the department rather is this a vote of no confidence on those particular entities? Because that's when we then come in as a check on the executive to say, all these entities which fall under the department, which are supposed to deal with these issues, the Commission of Gender Equality, the strategic plans which are there, and many other entities that are supposed to deal with these very critical and important issues, have they failed to deliver on their mandates? And if the minister must then come to us and say, look, we've failed to deal with GBVF in society, and we're asking Parliament in its oversight duty to perform oversight over government departments and entities, to then come in and say, all of these nice words that we like talking about in SONA, all of these commissions that we like establishing, all of these useless structures that we spend millions and millions of South African taxpayers' monies on, are not doing their work when it comes to implementing the national strategic goals and plans on GBV in South Africa. And when there is that vote of no confidence in those particular entities, then us as Parliament, within our mandate, we then come in and say, it is now time to intervene. Because Cyril Ramaphosa has failed to fight GBV in South Africa, because the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities has failed, because the Deputy Minister has failed, then Parliament must be able to come in. So when the minister runs to this committee, it's declaring of a vote of no confidence on themselves as the department, because the department must play that role. The department must play that role, and we must then do oversight over the department to say, in as far as the mandate of the department is concerned, have you been able to deal with these issues in society? And then if they are saying to us, no, we've not been able to deal with it, then as Parliament, we can be able to come in. Because I'm happy because I listened to one of the interviews of this particular minister or deputy minister, and then they corrected the remarks which we saw in the media that they are summoning this individual to Parliament. Because my first thing was that they've got no powers to summon anyone to Parliament. That's a decision that we must take as members of Parliament and this particular portfolio committee. They've got absolute, these ministers report to us, who are the ones who are in charge of Parliament, who are running Parliament. They don't get to tell us what we must do in Parliament. But I'm happy because I think sanity prevailed, and after some time they were able to say, no, we're going to ask permission from this particular Parliament to look into this thing. But I am extremely suspicious of this selectivity that we're seeing. And I think this has been echoed by other members of Parliament to say that we don't know these people. We never see them when these cases of GBV come out. We never see them when very sensitive and important issues come in South Africa that deals with the violence that we see against women and children in our society. But we get to see them on certain cases. Why is that the case? So the minister, I mean, they may or may not respond to that particular aspect, but it was important for me to raise this to this Parliament to say that we must not be allowed to be derailed from our program. We've got a very clear program as this Parliament Chair. We know what our mandate is. We know what it is that we want to achieve. We've already resolved, by the way, even before the department had resolved, to say that we're going to go to Matatiela and look into that particular aspect in Xwexwe. And we did it as members of Parliament because we could see that there's a silence. We could see that there's nothing that is coming from the department. There's nothing that is coming from the South African Police Services. So we have to do some joint venture together with other portfolio committees and go and look into these issues. So I take exception, not to the case itself, because it's a very important case and we condemn what happened there. But I take exception because the characters which are presenting these cases in Parliament are not only, don't understand Parliament processes, or if they understand them, they just undermine them. But they are also very selective in the types of cases that they want to bring before this Parliament. And then perhaps, Chair, in closing, I would be interested to know from this minister, because we've been engaging with this case even in our media platforms and even in many other engagements that we've been having. And then people reach out to us that, that person may be related to someone who was working in that podcast and got to be released from that podcast. I forgot the name, Manaka. So I wonder if you've got any commentary to make to that effect, to say, do you have any prior relations with people who either worked or worked in that podcast? And if that is the case, would that then not be the reason why you want to elevate certain issues of GBV above the other more important issues, or rather not more important, equally important cases of GBV which are there? Do we not wish that Xwexwe's mother had a friend in ANC politicians or had friends in higher places? Do we not wish that the 13-year-old teenage pregnant girl from Seshego had friends in higher places who could elevate their cases to Parliament? Do we not wish that the victims of rape of Omotoso had friends in ANC politicians and friends in higher places who could take and elevate their cases to such institutions? Do we not wish the many women and children in South Africa who are ignored, who are neglected, who are overlooked, had friends in higher places or relatives in higher places who would be able to elevate their issues to be discussed at this level? It doesn't happen. We don't see it happening. So I take exception. I think These are very questionable characters which are bringing these cases before Parliament. If this portfolio committee chair, which I would support, by the way, wants to look into this matter, I think we must do it independently as a portfolio committee without any outside influence from people who are coming from this ministry or this department, because they've not shown us any intention of resolving the genuine issues which are affecting women and children in South Africa. But they want to nitpick and choose certain cases because perhaps it becomes personal to them because they are related or they've got friendships with one or two of these South African celebrities. So I submit my submissions and comments. Thank you, Chair.